Hey, I'm Sarah and today I'm going to be doing a Julia Child recipe for French onion soup. My husband did this earlier in the week and it was an absolute hit. It was amazing. French onion soup, when I think about it, generally I think watery, you know, watery, not that flavoursome, a few bits of onion floating around. Nah, this is amazeballs. 1.5 pounds of very thinly sliced onions. I'm going to start with about 5 onions, chop them up, weigh them. The key, so I have been told, to not crying when slicing onions is a very sharp knife. Now, I can use the sharpest knife in the world. I can wet them, I can chop them underwater. I cry every time, so I'm just going to slice them halves like that, really thin. Second onion in, I can feel the tears. Won't be long now. I'm going to be bawling my eyes out. Yep, it's starting. Ah, I can't see. My eyes. I can do this. I can do this. $700 grams. I'm just gonna go into another room and recover for a minute. Right, so we need a heavy saucepan. Trust me, this is really heavy. We're going to melt about 45 grams of butter. When I say butter, you know how I roll. You know, you came in just a bit too late to slice all these onions up, and I had to throw a big tantrum on camera.
Oh.
A big tearful tantrum. Right, so lid for about 15 minutes. Who was it that had an apple before that took a couple of bites and then put it on here and left it? So we just want to do that on a low heat. I've just got Sam stirring it every couple of minutes, but apparently that's not crucial, but I just want to make sure that they don't burn or stick to the bottom of the pan. My stove elements are a bit temperamental, so I've got my cheap stirrer here. Those onions are softening nicely. What we want to do now is we want to add 1 teaspoon of salt and 1/4 teaspoon of sugar. We put the lid back on and leave it for about another 30 minutes. Now what we're going to do is make something called croutes. Not croutons, but croutes. Similar thing. Traditionally you use a long French breadstick, but I make my own bread, it's super duper cheap. So what I'm going to do instead, you want to use a big long breadstick, you do it. You want to slice, but I'm going to slice my own bread fairly thick and just, you know, cut the pieces smallish. So it's going to be similar, it'll be fine. So not quite about that thick, you reckon?
Yeah.
About an inch. We're going to get some oil. Olive oil would be ideal, but whatever, cooking oil. I'm just using canola oil. So I want to brush both sides. Makes it nice and crunchy. If you're quite done there, Aston. Being very thorough.
Yes.
So that has been cooking away for about 30 minutes. That is looking beautiful. Beautiful and soft. 3 tablespoons of plain flour. And then we want to stir it for about 3 minutes. Sam can do the stirring while I turn over the croutes, which are now ready for a flip. So if you've got proper beef stock, by all means use it. I'm just using some good old beef OXO cubes. I've got the salt reduced ones because I figure, well, you can always add salt later if you feel like you need more. We need 6 cups of beef stock. One of these cubes makes a cup. New Zealand, 1 cup is 250 ml. So, you know, I'm just going with that. So we'll have about 6 cups of water, which is basically 1.5 litres. I'm crumbling them. because then it's like mixed up. Yeah, well, your way is going to be quicker, but my way is going to dissolve like straight away. Whereas we're going to have to wait that extra crucial minute for yours to dissolve. About 1.5 litres of boiling water. So, put the boiling liquid in. Right, now on to about 1/2 cup of dry white wine. I've just got a good old clean skin salve here. Okay. Need salt and pepper to taste, so you just want to give it a stir. Yep, That's pretty good actually, I think. I'll put the lid on and just leave it a little bit open. And that's going to simmer for about another 30 to 35 minutes. Okay, so now we're going to add some cheese in here. Fancy cheese is probably best, but me being me, I'm just going to use some good old Colby. Now you're meant to add about 60 grams. I believe I probably measured out about 100 grams there, but you know,
Yay.
It's cheese.
I like cheese.
Okay, and I may have done this in slightly the wrong order. I think I meant to do this the other way around. You're meant to add 3 tablespoons of cognac. Now last time we just left that out because we're not that fancy, and it was really, really yummy. However, then I discovered we had some whiskey, like a little sample bottle in the cupboard, and we've had it there for ages because I don't like it, and I don't know, I think we got it as a freebie somewhere. Grant's blended Scotch whiskey, and I looked it up. Apparently cognac and whiskey can be quite interchangeable in recipes. So I'm gonna give this a go. I'm just gonna put it in tablespoon at a time and have a taste because I don't want to ruin it. So I say I'm not a big whiskey fan. I think it tastes like petrol. It's actually not as bad as I remember it tasting, to be honest. But you can put, I've actually looked it up, you can use all sorts of different alcohols in French onion soup. I've already got the wine in there. Of course, you know, the cooking process, the alcohol does cook out of it. Still pretty nice. I'm gonna put the 3 tablespoons in. You can also, she also mentioned in her recipe, grating a bit of raw onion on the top. I'm not gonna bother. These croutes are now going on top of the soup. Ideally, you're meant to use like parmesan or something fancy like that. I'm not quite that fancy. I'm not quite sure how much cheese, but I think it just depends on how many croutes you're making. Croutes, sorry, croutes. It's like croutons, but without the ons. So I'm adding about another 100 grams of cheese on here, but you do you. If you're feeling fancy, you can drizzle some olive oil on top of that. I don't have olive oil, I've only got canola. That's, you know, that's not the same thing. So I'm not going to do that. She'll be right. Put this in the oven, about 180 degrees Celsius, I think it is. I think she said 350 Fahrenheit. So for about 20 minutes, and then we'll dish up. Check that out.
Yum. Awesome.
One yum, one awesome.
Awesome.
2 awesomes, 1 yum. Love, what do you reckon?
That is disturbingly nice. Onion soup, you wouldn't think it would be that appealing, but it is really nice.
Onion is yum.
Yeah, I know, but...
I mean, traditionally, French onion soup, you kind of think of it as like a thin, watery type. And I mean, it is thinner than the likes of pumpkin soup or even tomato soup. but it's substantial. And these croutes, oh yes, oh yeah. It's kind of hard to know how to eat these. They're a bit big for a spoon.
Oh,
it's
I
a bit
just
messy
chop
than
them
the
up.
fingers, but
No,
I don't care.
The Croutes make
mess.
it.
Make a mess with them. I don't care. You've
Yeah.
got my permission. Yeah.
You've upped your game, love. This is good.
Only problem, half hot. That's not the problem. The only problem is the time it takes to make. Unlike the likes of the tomato soup, which is reasonably quickish, you know.
Well, I reckon.
This is a process. You've got to be patient with it.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, if it's a cold, wet, miserable winter's day,
Oh,
and
yeah,
you're inside,
if you're just doing jobs around the house or something anyway,
and the
oh,
Croutes
you get
just
the
look
odd little chewy bit of cheese in there. And the flavour of it is so nice. That is really, really yummy.
The problem is slowing down, so you don't burn yourself as well. That is a hazard with this.
Well, you kind of got to, I don't find that a hazard. You kind of got to blow on it. Be patient. Clint burnt his tongue last time. Anyway.
He's not going to tongue this time.
Hit like, leave a comment down below. Have a go at this when you've got a, you know, when you've got a spare day and you're doing jobs around the house or something. Put some of this on at the same time. It is so, so yummy.
Life is better with good food. Trust me.
Oh yeah. And compared to the packet stuff, it doesn't compare. Bye.
Mm.